I guess maybe it was some issue with the production where either he had to change the beat or he really wanted to just go with a different sound. If you could kind of talk about that a little bit.
Oh well, in the documentary, it was about the album recorded for MCA, and Dilla was always ahead of like if you're listening to a Tribe Called Quest song that he produced at the time they put it out, he was already 4 styles ahead of that with what he was doing in the basement. He was already experimenting with different snares and trying to figure out something new to do, right? So for us, like Frank and Dank never picked a beat off a beat tape and said, "Hey, we like that one. Let's get it." Yeah, we've done that and we rhymed on it, but then he changed the beat, right? Everything he gave us, he made from scratch. It was never, he wouldn't let us, he would give us the beat tapes first before any of the other artists got it. But we couldn't pick off that beat tape because that was for the other artists. I'm going to make the beats I make for y'all, right? Because, you know, we had that homeboy thing, right? So, excuse me. So we didn't really, the process is really simple for us. Like early on, you know, he had to do a lot. He had to do the recording, mixing, and all that. At some point, he taught me how to record our vocals and get them ready. And it was like for Frank and Dank, not for everybody, but for Frank and Dank, it would be like for Pause from Welcome to Detroit, right? For that particular record. We came from the strip club, right? Went to the studio, and the studio was in his house. Uh, he literally put Pause together to beat in 15 minutes. He knew what he wanted to do. Just put it together. And because Frank knows how to record the vocals for Frank and Dank and do all that part, what he would do was say, "Okay, Frank, I'm gonna put the beat up. I'm going upstairs and I'm going to sleep. When I come down in the morning, I would like to mix a song. So get all the vocals straight so I can just come mix the vocals." And that's how we recorded songs. Like we go to the house, he put up the beat. "Y'all got something for this?" "Yeah, we got something for this." "All right, I'm going upstairs. I see y'all in the morning." And in the morning, he coming downstairs with the morning blunt, and he want to be able to push play and hear vocals so he can mix it, right? And that was kind of our process, and it stayed like that until we got the MCA deal. And the only thing that switched is that we was in the studio, right? And we were recording to these beats. And one day he decided, "Hey, man, I want to change it." And you know, at that point, we signed to his label. And you know what I'm saying? So, and he's the musical genius. What you gonna do? So he changed all the beats. Um, Again, I don't know what the process was. I know that he had, you know, went and seen. He at the same time he was in the studio. He went to the studio with D12. Not to, he went there with Proof, and it was some things they needed to discuss about some other stuff. And but while he was there, like Dre had been in town. I don't know if Dre was there per se, but he had been in town working on D12's album, and his setup was in the studio. And he had, you know, multiple MPCs, and then he, Dre had musicians play, and he gonna sample a musician and this that. So and he wasn't using those samples, or if he did, he replayed it. And I think that resonated with them. So when he came back for 48 hours, go through 40, ain't no samples. Everything you hear, he played. Even the bass line on My Dukes and different things, like we had people with the mandolins on there. We rented him a mandolin to play the, you know what I'm saying? He had Questlove come in and play some drums, like, because he didn't want to use any samples. So, you know, I guess from a business standpoint, if you expect a green shoe and you get a blue shoe, it could be a little confusing. But from a musical standpoint, for us, album's one of a kind. There's no album like that nowhere. It's all produced by Dilla with no samples. Nowhere. And there's no way you can do it again. So,
Wow.
you know, it's a it's a I don't know. You gotta I approach it from both ways. From a business standpoint, I can understand if you expect green and you get blue, you might be a little whatever. But from a music standpoint, from a legacy standpoint, Nah, it's one of a kind. 48 Hours is a one of a kind record.
Yeah, man, no doubt. I mean, in hindsight, or just from the outside looking in, I mean that you could write a book just about that whole experience because just to see a producer of that magnitude cook up those beats, like you said, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people they got beat tapes or CDs, they didn't get a chance to
Yeah,
experience that, and then for him to be able to go back and say, okay, we're gonna go this direction, and to see later on, like, oh, this a one of one. You know what I'm saying? It's like a Basquiat only copy, and you was a part of that. So you were part of world history. And like you say, by him being a genius, he trusted you guys to, do what y'all had to do enough to be like, I'm gonna go to sleep because I know what y'all capable of. And when I come up in the
mm-hmm.
morning, it's gonna be a wrap. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah,
amazing, man.
yeah.
Let me see. Now you actually, I was online. I was checking out. It's the European vacation tour. Now you was talking about traveling and going to different countries, and man, what
Mm-hmm.
what was that experience like musically? And then what did that just do for you as a black man coming from Detroit?
Oh man, well, it. I mean, obviously that particular tour being what Dilla's situation was, right? Um, you know, there was obviously a level of emotion and thing that came with that. But when you step back from that part and just talk about the travel and the tours, like that tour in particular, like every night was completely packed out and it was super duper emotional. And I mean, you know, that tour was just something else because of, I'm looking in hindsight what happens after, right? Um, but on that particular tour, even though my guy was in a wheelchair and I had no clue he was in a wheelchair until he rolled out in the airport. Like we were in the airport and we met up because Frank and Dank had already been in Europe on tour before that tour started, right? We were already doing some dates. So we met up in London. And when he came out, from the airplane, first time I had seen him in a wheelchair, right? And so at that point, you go, because we had our cameras out, right? So I asked him, if you don't want to be on camera, we won't put you on camera, bro. And he, nah, Frank, shoot, it's all good. So from that point on, I wasn't gonna make my guy feel alienated or out of the way because he in a wheelchair. You know what I'm saying? That was not my concern. So the rest of that tour, it's a lot of laughs and joking and just having a good time, man. And all those cities we had been to before and moved around and did different things with them before. So it wasn't like it was all new to us. You know what I mean? Uh, but that tour in particular, again, was very emotional for obvious reasons, and just really, I don't recall being at a show with such high emotion, right? And yeah, at some point people cried, but I don't even talk about it. Even when we were performing, right? It's like the crowd is right here, but it felt like there was a crowd on top of them just from the emotion and all of the. It's not tension, it was love and just good energy in the air, right? Never experienced nothing like that since or before. Yeah, but yeah, that tour was crazy. European Vacation was a crazy, crazy tour, and I mean for obvious reasons.